right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's time for our conversation now, and I bet you it will be an interesting conversation. Perhaps one you should be interested in because it also affects your money. My guest is with me right here, Musa Jimoh, who is the Director of Payment System Management Department at the CBN, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria. Welcome, sir, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season. Now, let's get started. In fact, you watched the respondents now.
Yes.
Let me have your take on some of those, because yesterday, that interview was conducted yesterday. I had to tell my crew, let's go out and find out from Nigerians and see if this is really in place, you know, in terms of if the banks are actually complying with the policy. What's your take on what we brought back?
Well, you know, I had to ask you,
yes, you
when, when the interview was conducted, yes. Because personally, I've seen all the charges. I try some of the channels just to test, you know, go to an ATM to withdraw, do transfers and all that. And it's been, from my experience, it's been absolute compliance. I was even, you know, quite happy that the banks were able to recalculate their transfer charges such that if you do 0 to 5,000, it is 10 naira, 5 to 50, it is 25, and then above 50, it is, you know, 50 naira. They were able to do that calibration, and I actually tested with different transaction, you know, amount to see.
How many banks did you test? Yeah,
well, I couldn't. There is no way.
Four banks in Nigeria.
Yeah, so that's why this feedback is very, very important, and I listened to those respondents to actually know the banks that they made. I'm shocked to hear that the banks have not complied, because I asked all my colleagues in the office to also try the various banks and see these things, because that's the only way we can check. Go to ATM and see, including the fact that some people have come to us to say because of the reduction in the ATM fee from 65 to 35, that some banks have actually calculated their ATM so that you can withdraw more than 5,000, you know, at a go and all that.
They've reduced the amounts that you can withdraw, yeah. So that you can do more if you need more amounts.
Exactly. So I check these things, and I like to see the bank. I can't go through all the over 10,000 ATMs, but this, we want to have this feedback. I actually contacted practically all the banks, and I said, this is what I hear, and they denied it vehemently, that it's not so. So I like to see some of these things happen. Yeah, I just want to see, you know, a bank that has the temerity to disregard.
In fact, for those of you watching this program right now, you've heard it from Mr. Jimoh. I would like you to give us your own feedback too, and do that on all our social media platforms right now. You can tweet me right now with your complaint. If you think your bank has not reverted or reversed, as it were, gone back to the policy that the central bank brought out last month, December 21 or 22, thereabout, on bank charges, please tweet me right now at Nancy Nnaji. You can also find us on Twitter, Moneyline AIT. State it there and state the bank.
Yes. And
how much you are being charged. Do that right now. Our Facebook, Moneyline with Nancy, and drop your comments. Those feedbacks are really essential so that we can nip this in the bud. Some other people have also spoken or have also told me that some banks have not even notified their customers, because this policy was supposed to start from January 1.
Yes, yes. It's the responsibility of the banks to notify their customers, because CBN doesn't bank retail customers. We don't bank the public. We only provide regulatory service to the banks. So it is the responsibility of the banks to, you know, enlighten the public about what is coming, you know, and all that. And I have seen quite some on social media. Some people have actually even represented, you know, the guide to bank charge in a way, in a simplified form, which we quite appreciated. But I don't know whether they have communicated this to people who do not have access to social media, you know, television and all that. So which means they have to do radio communication in different languages and all that. They have to do that. But regardless of whether they did the communication or not, the responsibility of ensuring that they don't pay more than as regulated is on the bank and not on the customer. So whether I know or I do not know, if I go to an ATM today and I make a withdrawal from another bank's ATM, I should not be charged more than 35 naira, whether I know or I do not know.
Okay. For the benefit of our viewers, I want you to, you know, go around talk about these bank charges again, because it's not up to a month. It's not up to a month yet. It's just a few weeks, perhaps 2 weeks or so, that was released, or 3 weeks. I would like you to rehash everything that was said? I know it's a 75. When I saw the pages, so 75, I was reading it word by word. But I want you to just summarize for those that have not seen it and for those perhaps hearing it for the first time. Who knows?
Okay. It's a national concern for financial inclusion to thrive. And we've always said it, that financial inclusion is not a CBN strategy, it's a national strategy being driven by CBN as the Secretariat. So we have the responsibility of making sure that we achieve our target for financial inclusion, which is to include more people by this year, actually 2020 and all that. Now we are trying to see how we can extend that commitment so that we keep adding more people and on that. So in one of the deterrents of financial inclusion, when we did a study, one of the reasons why people keep their money away from banking services is the fact that the cost of financial service was too high. Yeah, said, look, to keep my money in the bank, I need to pay more, and it's very high. So it's a deterrent. So people rather keep the cash and begin to do transaction, shadow banking without going to the formal financial platform. So what we did was to look at the various financial services that are being offered. And majority of these services are being driven by technology, electronic banking and all that. So that was why a major concentration was on the electronic banking charges. So we had a major review, looking at the demand and the supply side. While we are reviewing this, we also need to think about the providers of the service. I hope it's going to be sustainable so that they keep providing the services. So ATM was the major one. You recall about 3-4 years ago, it used to be 100 naira. And so we had a discussion and brought it down to 65. Now it's been brought down to 35. And I see in the near future a more reduction in that fee. Because as you have more volume, as you have more transaction, you are likely to break even and then recover your cost. So more volume, this will actually entice and encourage people to go and use the electronic channel options and use the card at merchant location. So ATM has been reduced from 65 to 35, and it still remains that it's only when you go to another bank's ATM that you are charged. If you do transaction,
35
yes, if you do the transaction on your ATM, regardless of the number of times, regardless of the amount, you are not going to pay a dime.
That's your bank's
ATM. It's only when you take it to another bank that that bank charges you, because basically what the bank is doing is offering a service on behalf of your bank. You don't have money in that bank. Yet you go there and you say, give me some money, which I have in the other bank. So technically speaking, that bank is giving you loan.
Yes.
You're taking a loan from that bank.
It's giving you its money.
Yes.
On behalf of
your bank. And your bank will only pay that money the following. Exactly. Including
the service.
Including the channels, the ATM that has to be. So sustainability comes in. So we say, okay.
I hope our viewers understand this. So perhaps for those that also want to avoid that fee, they go to their own bank.
Go to your bank. In fact, in some clime, it's actually called convenience fee. It's actually convenience, because you can actually go to your bank, but if you decide to go to the nearest bank because you don't want to travel, look, it's too sunny, it's convenience. You're actually, enjoying the convenience. And so, like I said, it's something that will continue to come down as we get more volume and as people get, are more acquainted to these services. And then the other one has to do with the card maintenance. People have always asked, what is card maintenance? I have the card in my pocket. So which card are you then maintaining from back that you had to charge me? And I had to explain that what you carry, what you carry, which you refer to as ATM card, is a mere plastic with a chip. That plastic only identifies you at the point of transaction at an ATM, at the POS terminal, to say, yeah, I am the owner of this card, and so I'm inserting it as a token, and then I'm providing what I know as my PIN. And so it only identifies you. The actual information, the actual account information that makes it an ATM card is held remotely somewhere in the bank, and in some cases, these banks will outsource that service to a third party called processor. So they maintain the details of this account, of this card. I mean, we call it account because they are account information that makes the card. So this service is being outsourced. People provide technical service to make sure that anytime you use your card, it confirms whether the PIN you have entered is correct, whether you have not entered wrong PIN more than 3 times, whether you are using it at the right location, whether you are using it within the country or outside of the country, or whether you are even using the card at an accredited merchant location. All those kind of security checks are being done by some entities called processor. Maintaining this information on behalf of the bank is what is called card maintenance, because the detail is about card. And so it has also been reduced. Today, we've come out to say if your card is tied to a current account, then you won't pay a card maintenance fee. It's only when it is tied to savings that you pay the card maintenance fee.
Why is that disparity?
Now, okay, let me just finish. And then if you are paying for savings, it has now been reduced from 600 per annum, which used to be 15 naira monthly, so 600 naira per annum to now 15 naira quarterly, so it's 200 naira per annum. It has been brought down, you know, tremendously.
That's for the savings
For
account.
the savings. For the current, so you ask why not the current? Why the exemption for the current? For the current, on the other side, you are being charged what is called the account maintenance fee. You pay account maintenance fee, you know, for your current account. So it will amount to double charge if we charge you account maintenance fee on your current account, and then we also come and charge you card maintenance fee again. So we have to nail out this. And like I said, as things move on, I see banks even taking off some of these things as incentive for people to keep their money. So this is basically what it means. So
okay, for the account maintenance fee on current accounts, is there a policy in place of that, or it's now dependent on what banks charge?
Yeah, you see, this is our pricing principle or fee regulation principle is usually based on ceiling. So what CBN will do is to say, if at all you have to charge, you can't charge more than this. So it's actually not compulsory that the bank charges you, for example, 35 naira on an ATM. Your bank can say, go to any ATM and withdraw. I'll pay the 35 naira on your behalf.
No, but we
it's
know
not, I'm just saying it.
Yes.
So the 35 naira is to say you can't, if at all you need to charge,
it shouldn't be
you
more
shouldn't
than
be more than this. We usually set the ceiling.
So
for account maintenance, based on negotiation, banks, you know, at their own prerogative can decide, but they shouldn't go more than certain
You know why
threshold.
I'm asking that question? Because that's where it is tricky, and I'm asking, perhaps can the CBN also come in there? Because if, for example, the current account does not have account maintenance fee, the savings account has the card maintenance fee, isn't it? Because for the current account, you are paying an account maintenance fee, so you don't need a card maintenance fee. So you're leaving us at the whims and caprices of the banks to do whatever. I personally experienced close to 20,000. I was telling you just before you came in, close to 20,000 naira maintenance fee on my current account. And that day I had to put my hand on, what is this? What is the bank doing for me? 19,000 naira or thereabouts, you know? So I hope you understand my question.
I understand.
Yes.
Well, you know, this thing is usually charged based on the kind of volume.
So what are you trying to tell me now? Now what kind of... No, I don't want to agree.
But to be very frank, banks have the liberty of negotiating some of these things. There are some accounts today that when you operate with some banks, because of the nature of that account and the kind of balances and volume you do, they can actually waive off some of these things, and then you don't pay. We are looking forward to a time when card can actually be issued to you for free because of the kind of transactions that you do. We are looking up to a time when we can do some segmentation where low account, low profile, low customers can actually have designated accounts such that, you know, transactions that they do on ATM can actually be made for free. So that kind of segmentation will come. But we have to gradually move there. You can't just do this thing overnight because they have to sustain the infrastructure that drives all this payment. And so we are mindful of that. We see their cost. And so we can't be blind and, you know, just come and say, okay, remove everything and make it zero. Then those things will not work. These are private companies.
Now that brings me, what you just said also brings me to what the CBN also told the banks to do in terms of if you're getting a new card and all of that, they are fee for
Yes, I actually wanted to come. So the third one has to do with the card issuance fee, you know. Card issuance fee, we've made it that unless a card, today is 1,000 naira, right? It's 1,000 naira. We're actually looking at a situation where these cards can actually be issued for free over time, you know, and that discussion is ongoing. Like I said, it's something that we keep reviewing as time goes, just to make sure that, you know, we encourage people to use banking facilities. Is that our prerogative? If at all you need to issue a card and charge a fee, it shouldn't be more than 1,000 naira. And for any kind of card, whether it's the premium or the classic, any kind of card, just don't charge more than 1,000 naira. And so people can actually take advantage of asking for premium cards. So for some kind of accounts, what the banks actually do is to look at what kind of service, what kind of business are we doing together. For some kind of accounts, they can issue you these cards for free and even deliver it to your house for free. But it depends on what you're doing with your account. That's basically it. But like I said, we're looking forward to a time where some accounts, for special kind of accounts, like the practice, I think in South Africa, they call it Zamzi account, where it's a special account for the poor people, you know, with certain threshold, transaction limit. Cards, transactions on those accounts don't come with fee, just to encourage. So we'll get there, but we have to be gradual. And I think we're actually in the right direction by starting with this. maybe before the middle of the year, another review may come down on
because
certain transactions.
The last review was done before this in 2017.
It was 2017.
May 2017.
It is not to say that it will take another 2 years. No. I don't think so. I don't think so. And we're actually, like I told you, we set the ceiling. We're actually in a regime now where, banks are competing with fintechs.
Yes, I was also coming to that.
Yeah. Most people, what they need now is just financial service. They actually don't. I just need financial service. Anyone who can give me. And so competition will drive down cost.
Now, with this, which the central bank has done, it will also make the fintech guys go re-strategize, because when the ATM withdrawal fee was 65 naira, for example, there were a lot of fintech companies that are in the financial space, that's financial service space. Their own pricing was reduced from 60. It was not 65 naira. I have done a few transactions on those fintech spaces that was like 45 naira. When it was 65 now. So with this now, you guys are going down to the table. Good. So,
so that's very good. And like I told you, it's a sale. We said the sale. So anybody can operate at 0. You can operate at 1 naira. So it's a game that it's competition will actually drive it. We come to a time when a bank will say, put your transaction here. If you do any transaction with me, I won't charge you this, I will charge you this. So the incentive will come and they would actually negotiate and resolve what customers should be paying.
Okay, for those watching us and you want to be part of this conversation, you're free to do that. And how are you free to do that? I know most of you have your phones in your hands. Go to Twitter right now. Find me at Nancy Lo. Find the show at Moneyline IT. Nancy Lo is Nancy ILLOH. You know why you need to find me right now? Central Bank is here concerning bank charges and the guide which they released. It affects your pocket, it affects your money. You need to be financially savvy this new year. I talked about it on Monday. Send me your questions and comment right now concerning what you're experiencing with your banks. Have they complied with what the central bank has done? They are here, they have to get those feedbacks. I've been getting some, questions. I've been getting some comments right here on Twitter. I will come to them in a bit, but in case you're watching, do that right now. Now, let's take this from Omotayo Shokefu. He says, good morning. You can't withdraw more than 10,000 naira from the ATM machine at Zenith Bank Pape branch at Metama Extension, and First Bank close to the Zenith Bank. If I put their banks there, put the names of the bank so that we address it. So that's from Omotayo. So that's a feedback. Yeah. In terms of the reduction now of the banks, the reduction of the money. So you do the transaction many times, then they get their money. Okay,
let me say this by way of enlightening the public. There has always been a question of how much can someone withdraw, how much piece of notes. I want to call it notes now because it's notes that the machine actually counts. How much piece of notes can the machine actually dispense? The mechanism also come into play. ATMs are calibrated to dispense notes. We are the one that says this is 5,000, this is 100 and all that. Now, there has been cry by the public that there are no lower denominations in ATMs, right? And so now, if you put lower denominations, for example, there are some ATMs that will tell you, look, I don't dispense 1,000 naira, I only dispense 500. People have been clamoring for 200 to also be dispensed. So the question is, how much 500 naira notes can you put in an ATM such that it will last a long time? If you put 1,000 naira note, you are likely to put more notes than if you put 500. And if you put 200, it means if you were able to feed in, like, say, 20 million into an ATM, say, and you are now using 200 naira notes, I'm not sure you'll be able to do more than 5 million because its note is counting, it's not the value. So the dispense mechanism has to come to play as to how much can I actually dispense so it goes round. So some banks, what some banks ATMs have actually been calibrated to do is that if I'm dispensing 500 naira, then I don't want to do more than 10. It's not about the fee. This is the feedback. It's actually not about the fee. It's about how much can I give.
But those same banks were dispensing 40,000 naira.
Yes, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes,
that's what I wanted to know.
And they don't do that.
Is it that they were dispensing 40 and now 10?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to know that because here is it. If you go to your bank, there is that latitude of the bank saying, I can dispense, let's say, 30 for you because it's your bank. If there are dispense errors, I'll resolve it right there. If your card is swallowed, I resolve it right there. There are no charges associated to it, versus when you go to another bank. So these are put into consideration. But if before the release of our guide to bank charge, a bank was dispensing 15, and all of a sudden now reduce it to 10, those are the cases that I want to know. Those are the cases that I want to know.
And I think that's what Omotayo
Yeah, so I'll take that now. I'll take that.
Zenith Bank in Pape and First Bank close to the Zenith Bank.
After the program, I'll collect all those from you and then conduct oversight just to be sure.
So we need these feedbacks, and please, guys, just keep sending them and also tag them on Twitter so that they will know that we know what they're doing and the regulator knows what they're doing.
They could also go look for CBN.
Yes,
CBN is on.
Is on Twitter. CBN on Twitter is I think send bank
and send some of these things directly to us.
them. Yeah. Okay, Kingsley on Twitter is saying, I've tried so many Union Bank ATM machine. All you can withdraw is 10K per transaction. The same thing another person is saying, and they mix the money by always adding.
What I want to know, in December, was it 10K or it was 15?
Okay.
Because it's about, has the ATM been recalibrated because of the 35 naira, or that's how it used to be? Yeah, because CBN has not regulated how much a bank can dispense. It's at the prerogative of the bank and the kind of ATM you use. There are some ATMs that the mechanism will not allow you to do more notes. So it's all about what the bank has out there. There is no regulation about how much notes can be dispensed. Okay. But if a change has occurred just because we reduce our fee, then it becomes a major area for CBN.
So I think we need to attach that, especially for those of you sending me this feedback. All you need to also send to us is, if before the 35 naira policy, if the notes were higher, for example, if the highest amount you could withdraw was 40,000 naira, and now it's 10,000 naira at the ATM. So please tell us, we need that feedback. Okay, just keep sending. As I'm getting, I would also be speaking to you on it. But all in all, a lot of people have welcomed this development and saying that it's a positive one. What actually has, and a lot of people have also said, were the stakeholders carried along effectively? Yes. Or you guys just bamboozled the banks?
No, we don't do that. Thanks for asking. I was actually going to talk about that. We have a CBN a modern CBN, so to speak, where things don't just happen. As a matter of fact, it looks like we actually codify what the public, when I say the public now, the stakeholders, what the stakeholders usually agree. And we have a consumer protection department in CBN that usually, when issues of discussions on prices, convenience, and all that happens, the consumer protection department in CBN usually take the position of the public because they interact with the public. So it's usually, a dialogue of saying, no, you can't do this because if you do this, it will hurt these people. And then we also expose to associations, put on our website for the public to comment, and we gather feedback, and at the end of the day, try to create a win-win situation. So everybody, practically everybody, when I mean everybody, all the groups, government agencies, banks, fintechs, representatives of consumer, group were also brought in, including other major stakeholders like development agencies that can also speak on behalf of the consumers, bringing to the fore that we should be mindful of the fact that we are driving financial inclusion. And since cost of financial services was a major deterrent, high cost was a major deterrent, whatever we are doing should have that in consideration. So we actually put large number of stakeholders into consideration when this review was done.
Did you put, and how well did the central bank collaborate with telcos?
Yeah.
To ensure efficient services.
Yeah.
Because that's also very key.
Yeah, it's a major issue. We can't, practically all electronic services, in fact, all banking services today are delivered through electronic channels, and you can't have that happen without the backbone. And who provides the backbone? The telecommunication companies. Now, central bank cannot engage the telecommunication companies, one-on-one. So what we do is to collaborate with their regulator, NCC. We actually have an MOU with NCC, and we also have a joint technical committee with NCC where some of these issues are discussed. So at that level, we discuss some of these issues, and where we need to bring them in, we bring them in and say, look at this. For example, talking about the infrastructure, the USSD infrastructure, for example, is a major discussion point. SIM swap, and all that were issues that are being discussed to see how we can tame down the incidences of SIM swap and also see how the cost of USSD can come down, because majority of financial services now are offered on the platform of USSD protocol. So exactly. So these discussions are done, and I mean, most times when necessary, governor will actually call the telcos and speak to them, just for them to understand that, look, it's dear to our heart. We want, it's supposed to be an ecosystem. And like I said, financial inclusion is not a CBN strategy. It's a national strategy. So all agencies of government should actually come in. It's a strategy we are driving for the country to include more people in financial sector. So it's NCC is a part of it, you know, and other agencies. So
don't you think that the central bank, I know you've just said that the CBN governor sometimes call, but don't you think that apart also from the regulator, perhaps the regulator can also be in the meeting with the telco companies or with the telecom providers, being that there are not so many?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that most times we call them, you know, apart from going to the regulator, when the regulator permits that, we can actually meet them one-on-one to have better understanding, so they are hearing from the horse's mouth. We invite them and say, look, this is our strategy. This is what we need to do. And these are things that are also guaranteed, because it's a win-win. You give us this, we give you that, and all that. So it's that collaboration is there.
Because a lot of people, just like you said, operate or do payment services on that USSD platform.
Yes.
And of course, for those that are watching and don't understand what USSD is that star, XYZ star you put on your phone.
Short codes.
Yes, short codes that you send money, which is unstructured supplementary service data. Yes, that's what USSD means. Now, where does efficient payment service or efficient payment system, where is the nexus between efficient payment system and financial inclusion? Okay,
I think that's all the discussions we've been having. Like I said, the major trust of this guide to bank charge is to see that, you know, financial inclusion is promoted. And a lot of services today are driven by electronic payment. And so having an efficient payment system will basically engender that trust, ensuring that anytime I pull out my card, I do a transaction, it is successful, there are no chargebacks. When I do star, blah, blah, star, you know, it goes, and I am confident that when I do a transfer, it is final and irrevocable, all those kind of things. So in order to have that, to build that trust within the system, because if you don't have the trust, then people will not use, they won't use the system. In order to build that trust and have the very resilient, you know, payment infrastructure, the central bank set forth different regulations to guide different infrastructure and all that. So building an efficient payment system guarantees that all transactions are conducted within the time, they are efficient, and they are delivered successfully. And that is what people are looking forward to guarantee that anytime they digitize their cash, when they want to use it, they can use it. When they want to withdraw or when they want to deposit in, they can deposit. When they want to pay their bills, they can pay their bills. They don't want a situation where they pull out their phone, they do star, blah, blah, star, amount hash, and then the transaction is hanging, and then they are debited. And then they are told that you should come 3-4 days to come and collect your money. That's not what the users want. They want that assurance and trust. And once we are able to achieve that, then everybody will just come in with ease. So having an efficient payment system not only, you know, guarantees that it will encourage people to come into the financial sector, it will also ensure financial system stability, because all the economic agents can then do transactions seamlessly. Government to people, business to business, customers to customers, and all that. That's basically it. For example, government collection today is now to TSA. When you collect money, you sweep it electronically to the TSA account, CBN. That's payment system.
Are there opportunities perhaps for our viewers, if they can maximize, especially with a payment system that is, you know, that is evolving in Nigeria? I remember when this policy came out some years ago in terms of, okay, let's begin to use POS terminals, let's begin to use ATM. A lot of people were so apprehensive in Nigeria. Yes. That was years ago. They were, oh, trust, the issue of trust, oh, will I get my money and all of that. But I think the last data that I saw from the CBN tells us more that there are a lot more money transactions done electronically now, you know. So are there opportunities that viewers can maximize? Well,
yeah, there are a lot of opportunities, not just you know, for the ordinary users, even for business owners. For example, we've just created a license called Super Agent. That Super Agent permits those entities to go and recruit shops, small business owners, to help in providing financial services on behalf of the banks, mobile money operators, and other financial service providers. So this actually creates job opportunity, additional income to whatever you are doing. So you can actually be an agent, you know, to provide financial services on behalf of the consumers. That's one.
How do you get that license if you want to?
Well, the users don't have to come, and the public as the beneficiaries, the agents don't have to come to CBN. There are entities that are called super agents. They are more or less like aggregator. They are the ones that will go and look for, that will go and engage and onboard shops, outlets, business outlets to be their agent. So every time someone comes there to do money transfer, withdraw, payment of bill, you get commission. In addition to your business that you are doing, you don't need license to do that. All you just need to do is to approach any of the banks, any of the mobile money operators or the super agents to say, I want to be your agent because there is traffic to my shop. Oh, here I sell bread and tea. People come here every day. So they can actually serve as a collection point for people who want to digitize their money, who want to do transfer and all that. They are called agents. But they have to be under the purview of super agents who we regulate so we can have a view of what is happening within the economy. So that's a job creation opportunity and also making financial services widened, spread across the country. That's already
been done in some rural areas.
Yes, and then we're
but there are other opportunities, yes.
Yes, so other opportunities, the fintechs, these are the small companies that are coming up, the innovators. There are a couple of graduates that come out today, they have fantastic ideas on how we can provide financial services. But they don't have what it takes to come to CBN and say, I want to take a license. Now, CBN is trying to create a window where these guys can actually, come into more or less like a creation hub where we'll incubate them and try to bring out all those fantastic ideas, test it, and then if it works, then meet banks and ask them to do it. So innovation and regulatory sandbox is being planned out. Any moment from now, those policies and rules around that will be issued out. So people can actually come directly to CBN and try their hands out, against what we have today where, you have to have the financial muscle to come and say, I want to apply for a license and all that. So that creates another opportunity for people who have, initiatives that can actually help drive the Nigerian economy. I mean, from financial system perspective.
Okay, a lot of comments are coming on Twitter, but I will come to that in a bit. That's how we'll conclude the program. But this is also very important, very vital. What security measures can, perhaps our viewers, can you give? Security measures or tips? Can you give to our viewers, especially with this electronic payment system? Because it comes with its own baggage. Electronic fraud, in years of cyber fraud and all of that, you have to be very careful. I say it almost regularly on the program in terms of protecting yourself. Are there some tips for my viewers?
Okay, yeah. Let's start from the ATM. The ATM card, the debit card that we carry, which we call the ATM card. Because that's basically, I think from our feedback and from the survey conducted, a majority of the frauds that were conducted were actually through the ATM. Somebody has taken my ATM card, or I have my ATM card and transactions have been done. Now, like I said, what you are carrying is just a mere plastic. The information on it, the information stored around that card is what makes it an ATM card. Your PIN, don't share your PIN. Your PIN should be private to you. That's why it is called personal identification number. It's personal. Don't share your PIN. Your card, even the card, don't leave it in the open, because the 16-digit that is written in front, which is the card number, the expiry date, and at the back, the CVV, those three information, I don't need to have the card to do transaction on your card if I have those information. Once I have those information, I can actually go, for example, if you are booking a ticket, you don't present your physical card, right? The only information you provide for the payment of your ticketing is the information on the card. So the physical card is not so important. It's about the information. So secure it. Don't give your card out. Don't leave it out and all that. Then when you receive information for someone saying your ATM card has been blocked, or we are doing an upgrade, and so we would want you to submit certain information or confirm to us, quickly ignore that. No bank will ever call you to do that. Once someone calls you or sends you a text message that your account is being debited now, and if you do not respond and provide your PIN, ignore it. Nothing would happen. What you can simply do is to take that information and call your bank and say, look, I mean, if you have access to your bank, you know the phone number of the customer, and say, look, somebody has approached me like this. But first, ignore it. Just ignore it. Unless you are in a bank branch or a branch location, never give those vital information. Don't give. Yeah, don't give.
Don't send text messages.
And as a matter of fact, when you go to any of these point of payment, merchant location, even ATM, the receipt that you are issued, those receipts, don't just take it and drop it. Please take your receipt and put it in your pocket. When you get home, you squeeze it. That receipt is very important. In fact, most times you keep the receipt for like 2-3 days. Why? Transaction may fail and you may need to go back. But there are certain information contained in the card that you shouldn't allow anybody to know, because your name is on that card and some information about the card is also stored on that receipt. So that the receipt you carry from merchant location should not just be thrown out. Tear, shred it and make it
there are a lot of comments coming through on Twitter. A lot of people are watching, and let's use the remaining 4 minutes or so to answer. That's the feedback. Emmanuel is saying, I made a transfer of 30,000 naira using the USSD platform this morning, and I was charged 26 naira 25 kobo. I was also charged the same yesterday, as against 25 naira. This is with respect to Zenith Bank. Why the extra 1 naira 25 kobo? VAT.
Just do the computation.
Okay, yes, VAT. I hope you've gotten an answer for that, Emmanuel. Kingsley says, my sister's GTB ATM card, I used it for mostly POS payment and few withdrawals, and this was before 15 naira per POS transaction during the space of less than 2 weeks. I was charged almost 3,000 naira, the debit alert. The debit alert stated that it was for charges for online transactions. I didn't understand. With what he said, now why should you use your sister's ATM card? Is it? Or is it
that's even a security breach.
Or is it your own GT ATM card?
But
what he's saying is that he was charged 3,000 naira.
For doing
the transaction. Yes, the debit alert came, 3,000 naira. So
3,000 naira?
Yes.
As a charge?
As a charge. So I've taken
Please,
notes.
I'd like to, I will take that.
Mogbolaho says, I think Nancy needs to hammer that the idea that banks should charge after the third ATM withdrawal is a fluke.
Oh my goodness.
There's a fluke.
Okay, please, I like to, in fact, this is an opportunity for me. I like to have, let them go to CBN, let them tweet CBN.
CBN, send bank.
CBN and send to us. If there's any bank, please, let me explain something. Nancy, I need to explain something. When you withdraw, if you want to withdraw 30,000 naira, right? And you withdraw 10, and you do another withdrawal 10, and you do another withdrawal 10 from the same ATM, not of your bank, you have done 3 transactions. It is not an appearance that we are counting. It's not, oh, I'm at an ATM today. No, it is the number of transactions. Because some people will tell you, no, I only withdrew today. I have not withdrawn again. But how many times did you withdraw?
After the third transaction.
Third transaction. So if you go and you withdraw 2,000 naira, that's a transaction. You go and withdraw 5,000 naira, that's a transaction. So that's what we count. After the third one, then your bank will no longer pay. Actually, your bank is paying for you. It isn't free. Your bank will pay for those first 3. After that, then you have to take the charge. The
Joshua that sent earlier talking about the ATM in terms of the reduced amount, he has responded back. He said previously we could withdraw up to 40,000 naira, but they have deliberately recalibrated the ATM machines to favor themselves 10,000 naira. I just hope that the banks to pay 2 million naira per infraction for failure to comply.
Thank you very much. So, an opportunity for me to collect my fee and deal with the bank.
So,
please, I'd like to know the name of the bank.
So we'll get that. Oh, okay. Deposit on savings account was charged by FCMB from Chidozie.
Deposit on savings accounts. What form of deposit?
And someone also said here,
we still have our cashless policy though.
Yes.
Which is quite different. If you lodge more than 500,000 as an individual, the cashless policy comes in.
Okay. I think we just have to go. But what this has, showed me now is that we need to do this again.
Yes.
There should be a part 2.
Thank you very much.
And perhaps part 3. Of course.